Hey, welcome back to a segment we used to call Coach's Eyes, but probably is better to call this Kelly's Crazy Instagram Stash. So one of the things that I love to do is peruse the world and try to understand what I'm seeing. Just like you, I'm obsessed with watching good athletes move. I like to watch Nature's Metal. I like to watch people get pounded in the surf break on kook slams. But also, I stalk a lot of Olympic lifting sites to try to understand how people are moving, trying to solve problems, right? The magic of the internet is that I now have, for me personally, have an algorithm for trying to understand what I'm seeing, but I get to see so much data all the time from so many of these elite platforms. And this one jumped in my head. And so this is from Bao Weightlifting, and it's a great site around pulling up weightlifting, great Olympic lifting, and I am clearly an Olympic lifting fan. But what I wanted to show you is that they put up a couple screenshots of some of their athletes doing some funny things. Let's get rid of that. We're doing this in real time. And what I want to show you here is that these are all athletes engaged. Sometimes you can see arm overhead, arm overhead. This is during a pull, arm overhead. But look at the different strategies to create a stable head-jaw relationship. One of the things we're always looking at is what are the positions that give me the most sort of bang for the buck and the most action. And one of the things that we've always talked about is, hey, we've got to see the head and thoracic spine as part of the relationship between shoulder and what's going on with the body. And so what you've seen here is that different strategies around creating stiffness in the jaw and the neck to make the shoulders more stable. Not only are they fighting huge intra-abdominal pressures here, but each one of these, I mean, sticking your tongue out on a max lift, that's crazy time. Oh, and then you're like, oh, she's probably like an Olympic record holder. But what I want to show you here is that what we don't have is a strategy necessarily around where the tongue should go, what the jaw should do, should be relaxed, do I stabilize with open mouth or closed mouth? We tend to really like to put the tongue behind the teeth. So if you say the word thin, that's a great place to create a stable jaw structure that happens to be an open circuit right in the middle of this radical head structure. So if you don't have a place to put your jaw, don't worry, your body will figure that out for you. In fact, one time we were hanging out with the Major League Baseball team, and one of their starting pitchers had just been written up because he had chewed some gum and then done really well. And then he didn't chew gum and he didn't throw very well. And the next day or the next week, the whole clubhouse was inundated with people's favorite gum trying to replicate the magic. Well, what was happening, we think, is that the athlete was chewing on some gum and had figured out a way to create some stability in the jaw, which simplified the system. We've seen the same thing with our elite snipers, and even in American Sniper, Chris Kyle is talking about shooting really well with a chew in his mouth. And if you look at some of our best athletes in the world, some of our basketball players, I'm thinking of Steph Curry, who loves to chew on his mouth guard, for example. And what you're seeing is that they've come up with novel ways to close the jaw and create a much more stable structure through the system. And if you think it's just women, don't be fooled. The men do some weird stuff too. And so how you choose to stabilize may create more tension in the system, may create, this is pretty amazing, pretty relaxed. But what your jaw and face is saying is it's telling you a lot about the ways to create how you're solving this open circuit problem. Say the word thin, that's where your tongue should go. That's a pretty rock solid place to generate lifts. Or you can just leave it to chance. This is another episode of Kelly's Secret Instagram Stash.